All right, welcome back to John chapter 16, our online Bible study. Today, Jesus is addressing the sorrow of the disciples. He is going to be trying to help them cope with some things. And if we can just think back these past few lessons, you understand that Jesus has told them that he is going away, that where he is going, they could not come. He has told them that one of them would betray him, all of them would abandon him, Peter would deny him. He says that those in the world would hate the disciples because they did not love Jesus. And he talks about trials and tribulations that were to come. Wow, this has been a heavy load for them. And Jesus had told them that I'm telling you this now. I'm telling you this now. I didn't tell you before, but I'm telling you this now for a reason. And he's going to tell them right now and encourage them some of the reasons why. And so he's going to encourage them in their sorrow. He tells them this. He says, my going away is to your benefit. Is to your benefit. I don't know about you, but I think it would have been just out of this world, at the top of your list of life experiences you could ever ask for or hope for, to spend 2.5 years, 3 years, however long it was, each individual disciple was traveling with Jesus and seeing his public ministry and being a part of that. It would be hard to top that. But Jesus tells them it is to their benefit. It is to their benefit that he would leave. He's not saying it's better that not spending time with them is actually going to be a good thing, but he's saying it is to their benefit that he would go away. It's to their benefit because the helper would come. Remember back in John 14, he said that I'm not going to leave you alone. I'm going to send the helper. The helper is the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit's going to come. He's going to teach them in the ways of truth, going to remind them of the things that Jesus taught them. And here he tells them that the Holy Spirit would convict the world of sin, of righteousness, and judgment. He tells them that the Holy Spirit is the one who would ultimately draw people to Christ. Draw them to Christ. It says the Holy Spirit seeks to glorify Jesus. Now, Jesus is going away. His dying on the cross and rising again is what was necessary for him to send the Spirit. And the Spirit would be with them always and is with you and I. If we are followers of Christ, we're born again. We're born of the Spirit of God. And he's within us. And he's within us always and with us. And to help us, to lead us, to guide us. He says, to convict of sin and to teach us in the truth. And here, so that was the first thing saying, this, like, it is to your benefit, the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will not come unless I go away. The big one, the obvious one that's not stated here explicitly, but we should always understand is that if Jesus did not go away, that means he didn't die on the cross and he didn't rise from the dead. And if that doesn't happen, then we are still in our sin and we do not have the hope of salvation, the hope of eternity with God the Father and peace with him here and now. And so he says it is to your benefit. It is to your benefit. He also tells them this, your sorrow will turn to joy. Your sorrow would turn to joy. He mentions to them that in a moment you are going to lament. Very soon, you're going to lament that Jesus has left, that he's gone. He's prepping them. He's telling them all along, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And he tells them it's going to be very sorrowful for you. It's sorrowful for you. You're going to lament my leaving. But then joy is going to overcome you because they will see Jesus again. He will rise from the dead and they will see him ascend into heaven. Jesus he compares this to childbirth. Now, I know that as a guy, when you talk about childbirth, you're treading on thin ice. For some reason, it's just like you're automatically like, oh, you're going to talk about childbirth? And so I'm going to talk about what Jesus talked about here. And so I personally know I've not experienced the pain of childbirth, but I have been very present during it. And with my wife, when we have went through childbirth. And if childbirth is done, what they say, naturally, and without a scheduled inducement, the baby comes when the baby comes. The baby comes when the baby comes. And the contractions come when the contractions come. And they come. And then the time between them starts to narrow. And then the intensity of them starts to build. And there is, with the intensity, there is pain. And there is a pain and an agony that comes, that the woman is in this sorrow of sorts. It is painful. But she is anticipating something great. And this is an amazing, marvelous thing. But when the child is born, for many women, it's like that. And their sorrow turns to joy. For many, in typical situations, it will happen like that. And there's this joy because there is this baby. There was sorrow and there was pain. That's what I mean by the sorrow. There was this pain and there's this agony in this one moment. And then the next, there's this great joy. And that's the comparison Jesus has of his going away and telling the disciples, that's the kind of sorrow you're going to have, but it's leading to something wonderful. Something wonderful. And finally, he tells them this. He says, I've revealed these things to you so that you can have peace. He did not want them to be overcome by the unexpected. If all of these things were about to transpire and Jesus never told them, he didn't tell them about one of you guys is going to betray me, you're all going to run away, I'm going to die, and then, by the way, Peter, you're going to pretend like you don't even know me, and then you're going to have tribulation and all these things. If he never told them of that, they might begin to question what they're going through. Similarly for us today. Our world, we experience wars. There are famines. There are climatic calamities. There are pestilences, betrayals from even within the church. There are false teachers. There are persecutions. Devastations will come until the day of Christ. He's told us that so that it doesn't catch us unexpected, so that we know it, so that we can follow after him with hope. I'll see you guys tomorrow.